Welcome to the official start of the Dragonverse, where our motto is familiar powers, unfamiliar heroes. Stick around for some epic adventures as we get started with none other than the dynamic Arachnid.
We open on the Ingalls home. Rain's party is well underway. The house is full of students in their costumes. Thomas walks around in a Green Ranger costume. He scans the crowd for Annie and Carter. He spots Annie talking to a few other girls. He takes a breath and approaches her. "Hey ladies, sorry to interrupt, but can I borrow Kim Possible here?" The girls nod and walk away. Annie turns to face Thomas. "You're still mad at me, aren't you? You're a smart one, Blake." "I was hoping we could try and reconcile tonight." Annie shrugs. "I'll think about it." Carter and Zoe approach the two of them. "Hey guys, loving the costumes." "Thanks, Tommy. I was feeling a bit western, hence Cowboy Carter." "I didn't know what to wear. This fairy costume was available on short notice." "It looks great on you." "Thanks." They're approached by Wyatt and his friend. Rain is nearby. Wyatt shakes his head looking at Zoe and Annie. "This is absolutely ridiculous. What are two tens doing with these losers?" "Did you ever consider we like these two losers?" Wyatt laughs. "No, you don't. Back me up, Eric." Eric shakes his head. "Can't do that. Annie and Tommy are my dogs. I miss you out there on the field, Tommy." "Same. I hear you've been lighting it up since I left." I try. Wyatt gets an idea and smirks. "How about we have a little contest? Me and Eric against Tommy and Carter." Rain rolls her eyes and walks over. "No, Wyatt. This is supposed to be a fun night. Put the ruler away." "Shut up, Rain. Let me do this." Thomas steps up. "You're on, Wyatt." Rain exhales frustrated and folds her arms. Thomas looks at Annie and winks. A crowd forms around the four boys. Wyatt and Eric stand on one side, as Eric stretches. Tommy looks confident, but Carter is nervous. Wyatt twirls a football in his hand. "The game's simple. Each team gets 3 passes. The one who catches the most wins. We go first. Line up, Eric." Carter pats Thomas on the back. "Good luck. You'll need it." Thomas smiles. "Thanks, bud." Thomas lines up across from Eric. Wyatt calls out his cadence and preps his first attempt. Eric starts his route and Thomas sticks with him, but Wyatt completes the first pass. Next up is Carter and Thomas. Carter says a similar cadence. Eric lines up across from Thomas. Thomas begins his route and stays low. Carter throws it low, but it's not an issue as Thomas catches it easily. On the second attempt, Wyatt throws his pass high and completes another one. The crowd cheers. Carter and Tommy's second attempt is up. "Throw it high, buddy." I don't know if I can." "Do I need to remind you he's 6'4"? "Trust me, I'll catch it." Carter and Thomas line up once more, Eric across from Tommy. The play begins and Thomas begins his route. Eric is right there on his hip. Carter throws it high as he can, and Eric jumps, but to everyone's surprise, Thomas jumps a bit higher and catches the ball. The crowd goes crazy. Eric joins in the crowd, giving Tommy praise. Wyatt flashes anger and hurries to the line. Eric lines up for the 3rd time. "Sorry, my guy, but I've got to win." "I understand, but so do I." "Stop talking to the enemy." "Will you relax? We've got this." The 3rd attempt begins. Eric makes his move, but Tommy is ready. Once again, Wyatt throws it high. This time, Tommy breaks up the pass, and Wyatt swears loudly. He tosses Eric to the side. "I've got this." Eric shakes his head. "Tommy's too good for you." "No, he isn't. He's trash. I'll stop him." Eric shrugs. "Whatever, man. Go Tommy." Wyatt lines up across from Thomas, and Thomas smirks. He looks at Carter and points to the sky. Carter drops back, and Tommy begins his route. Wyatt tries to keep up. However, Tommy cuts to the outside quickly, and Wyatt isn't prepared and falls to the ground. Thomas catches Carter's pass with one hand. The crowd erupts. Zoe rushes and hugs Carter, and Thomas takes the ball and hands it to Annie. Annie accepts the ball and gives him a kiss on the cheek. We're outside the Frost house as Carter walks Zoe to the door. That was something, huh? It was great. You were great. I just did whatever Tommy told me. I had a really fun time tonight. Me too. Zoe hesitates before going inside. Well, I should probably go inside before my parents get upset. Yeah. She waits for another moment. Carter takes a breath. He leans in and kisses her. The kiss lasts for a few seconds, and Zoe smiles when it's over. That was nice. Yeah, it was. Maybe I can take you on a date next? I'd like that. Good night, Carter. Zoe goes inside her house as Carter smiles widely. Inside her room, Zoe prepares for bed. Her parents appear once more. Good evening, Zoe. How are you? Great. You seem different. Did something happen? Carter and I kissed. Her parents exchange a surprised look. Really? You kissed? Correct. Does this mean you like him now? I do. We have plans to go on a date. How nice. Anything else? The party was fun, but the end was the highlight. Very well. Sounds like an interesting day. Good night, Zoe. Her parents quickly leave without another word. The next day at school, Carter and Tommy are walking down the hall. I saw her hesitate, and I went for it, man. I'm proud of you. I can't believe how well things are going. It doesn't feel real. The good thing is, she likes you. Maybe, if it all works out, we'll be going on double dates once Annie's no longer mad at me. Speaking of, what happened? You two have been off lately. It's complicated, but I'm working on it. Okay, man. Don't mess this up for us. Thomas laughs. Don't worry. It'll all work out. Inside the ECPD precinct, Detective Mercury and Chief Wilson are walking through the halls together. Detective, I want you to cover the 10th annual Tech Gala tonight. I thought both Drake Robotics and Grind Diggers have their own private security. They do, but you know I like having one of ours present. Yes, sir. I'll tell my son I won't be able to attend his game tonight. The chief gives her a sympathetic look. I'm sorry, Detective. It's all right. If all goes well, I can be there to pick him up. Chief Wilson chuckles. That's the spirit. Dismissed, Detective. We see inside the Emerald City Museum of Technology. People dressed in fine clothes have arrived for the gala. A stage and chairs have been set up for the event. Detective Mercury watches the crowd as a man walks up next to her. Good evening, beautiful. Detective Mercury smiles. Good evening. Name's Adam. Janet. What brings you to this event? Work. Boss asked me to come. You? Curiosity. Curiosity. You like technology that much? I'm something of a technological marvel myself. Right. May I escort you to a seat? I suppose. The two find seats and sit together. The event begins to much fanfare. Two men take the stage. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 10th Annual Emerald City Tech Gala. I'm Dr. Vince Drake, CEO of Drake Robotics, though most of you already knew that. The crowd laughs. We're here to highlight the wonderful technological advances in our fair city, starting off with the presentation from my good friend, Mr. Fossbender. The two men shake hands as they pass each other. Thank you, everyone, for coming. What I have to display tonight is the future of technology in this city and the world. His assistant wheels out a mannequin covered by a tarp. Thank you, Mr. Wells. Now then, without further ado, I present to you Gearbox. The tarp is removed, and what appears to be a man dressed in simple clothes is on the stage. Mr. Fossbender presses a button, and Gearbox comes to life. Gearbox isn't an ordinary robot. He's closer to an android. fully functional and able to do whatever's required of him. Detective Mercury and Adam and the rest of the crowd appear to be impressed, offering an applause. Before he can continue, there's a commotion off to the side of the stage. An assailant dressed in all black sprints on stage. The assailant punches Gearbox's head clean off, leaving only sparks. No! What have you done? The assailant leaps into the crowd and people begin to panic. Acting quickly, Detective Mercury draws her sidearm. Detective Mercury, ECPD, stop right there. The assailant doesn't stop. Instead, Detective Mercury is punched in the chest. She flies back several feet, but Adam manages to catch her. Come on, love. Wake up. Adam shakes her, but she's unconscious. The assailant sprints past everyone else, bursting through the doors. Adam lowers the detective to the ground. Get us some help! Now! Others begin to aid the detective as Adam sprints after the attacker. We see Arachnid as he's tying up several criminals that were attempting a break-in. The police will be here soon. I hope you guys don't mind if I head out. Arachnid hears something and turns his head. The assailant flips up the side of the building. The two make eye contact, but the assailant keeps running. Duty calls. Arachnid sprints off after the runner, chasing the mysterious person across a few rooftops. Eventually, Arachnid webs their feet, and the runner trips and falls. Arachnid jabs the person with his stinger. Now that that's settled, you mind telling me why you were running? None of your business. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that. The assailant uses the opportunity to break the webs. How are you able to... Arachnid takes a punch across the jaw, and the assailant flees. Arachnid looks around, but has lost track of his target. He looks at his stinger before retracting it. As he swings away, Adam watches the hero leave. Later in the evening, we're inside Emerald City General Hospital. In one hospital room, Detective Mercury sits in a hospital bed. She is surrounded by Chief Wilson, Annie, and Eric. You're fortunate you only suffered a broken sternum, Detective. Certainly doesn't feel that way. Chief Wilson chuckles. I'll catch the scumbag who did this to you. On the bright side, I can finally use my sick hours. That you can. Chief Wilson looks at Eric. Whenever you're ready to go, son, we'll get you home. Thanks, Mr. Wilson. The chief's phone rings and he steps outside. Eric approaches his mother's bed and she smiles at him. How many touchdowns did you get tonight? Just one. One's better than none. Sorry I couldn't be there tonight. It's okay, Mama. It's just one game. No, it's been several. I can do better. Eric looks at Annie and smiles. You gotta talk to your dad. See if he can have Mom avoid Friday nights. At least until the football season's over. Yeah, of course. Can you imagine how Dad would have reacted? Don't get me started. He would have been throwing a fit, asking why nobody's caught the one responsible. Detective Mercury and her son laugh before they go silent. Eric's phone buzzes. He checks it and smiles again. Lindsay wishes you the best. Detective frowns. Does she now? Eric notices his mother's shift in attitude. Come on, Mom, don't be like that. Detective Mercury holds her hands up. I didn't say a word. Your face said enough. I'm gonna go get a snack. Annie, you want something? I'm fine. Thanks. Eric exits as well. I do not like that girl. Lindsay's a bit of an airhead. Gold digger is more like. Didn't want anything to do with Eric until he started getting D1 offers. I told him to leave her alone, but of course I was wrong, and she's not like other girls. The detective rolls her eyes. Give me a break. Anyway, how's that boy you're seeing? We're in a bit of a rough patch, but okay, I guess. I'm really glad you're okay. Thank you, sweetie. What's with the long face? I'm just worried Dad's gonna use this as another reason I shouldn't be on the streets. I don't blame him for trying to get you to consider a different area of policing. However, you have to know he'll support you no matter what. He wants what's best for you. That's what everyone keeps saying. I just hope you're right. Annie squeezes Detective Mercury's hand. Eric returns, but he's not alone. Hey, Mom, there's a Dr. Drake here to see you. Annie and the detective exchange a look. Send him in. Eric walks in with Dr. Drake. Good evening, Detective. I promise I won't take too much of your time. I heard you were here and I want to thank you for your bravery tonight. I'm sorry you got hurt in the line of duty. As a favor, I'll cover any expenses your insurance won't. Everyone looks surprised. Wow. Thank you, Dr. Drake. That's very generous of you. The detective remembers something. Hold on a moment. Your daughter is here as well, isn't she? Dr. Drake nods solemnly. Yes, my eldest, Hannah. She's been in a coma for about 4 months after being struck by lightning. It's a miracle she's even alive. I'm sorry to hear that, Doctor. I pray that she'll make a full recovery. As do I. Have a good rest of your night. Dr. Drake exits. Detective Mercury smiles and then yawns. We should probably let you get some rest. Night, Mom. Love you. Love you too. Eric kisses his mom on the forehead and Annie waves goodbye as the two leave the hospital room. The next day, we're inside a robotics company. Grind your gears as we see the CEO, Mr. Fossbender, with his assistant. What news do you have for me, Mr. Wells? Our teams have been looking over the security footage from last night. I think they're close to having some answers to who our mysterious attacker was. Good. After what happened the last 2 years, I'm glad we were prepared this time around. As am I, sir. Any orders? Yes. Prepare the drones. I want them scanning the city for any signs of our attacker. We're going to issue a statement that Gearbox wasn't destroyed. See who comes lurking. Very good, sir. When the drones have their target, Gearbox will make sure they never interfere again. It was incredibly fortunate you made 2 androids. What about Dr. Drake? Shall we share our findings with him? No. If Drake wants answers, he's more than happy to conduct his own investigation. Mr. Wells nods and leaves his boss alone. Inside White Mask's office, all of his associates are gathered. The bloke started swinging away before I could confront him. That sucks. I'm very excited to see what happens when you face off against Arachnid. You could have brought me along. Doesn't matter. The hero got away. That simply means we'll have to try harder to get his attention. Theoretically, it shouldn't be all that difficult. Correct. We can spend the day working on a plan of action. You got it, boss. Can you take me with you next time? I'm tired of being cooped up here all day. I want some action. Adam shakes his head. No, I want to face him by myself. See what this guy can do. David frowns. I was told I get a shot at Arachnid. Brawn and Brutus. That's who we are. You keep organ all the glory for yourself. I'm the older brother, so what I say goes. You may be older, but I'm stronger. The two glare at each other. White Mask taps the desk. Easy, gentlemen. No need for infighting. David, I appreciate your eagerness, but for now, your brother can handle things. Should the time come, I'll make sure you face Arachnid next. David sighs heavily. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm a little curious about this third person. Unfortunately, not much to tell. Whoever they were, moved fast. Perhaps enhanced like the rest of us. I've got my eye out for that one, too. Excellent. Let's get to work, gentlemen. We see Thomas as he's sitting at the lunch table with Carter. Thomas is looking at his right knuckle. Tommy! Tommy snaps back to attention. Sorry, dude. What were you saying? I was asking what's so fascinating about your right hand. Nothing. Just some pain when I went to bed. It's gone now. Okay, man. Annie sits at the table, which catches both of their attention. Annie! Hi! Hello. Everything okay? You look rattled. Detective Mercury's in the hospital. Oh my gosh. What happened? She got hit by someone last night covering the tech gala. She's got a broken sternum. Did they catch whoever did it? No, they got away. That's awful. Anyone checked on Eric? He's fine. Thomas slowly grabs Annie's hand. You sure you're okay? Yeah, thanks for asking. Of course. Hey, if you two aren't avoiding each other, I've got a favor to ask. Zoe's free tonight, and I was wondering if we could go on a double date. Annie and Thomas look at each other. I'm down. Sure, why not? Great! I'll let Zoe know. This is gonna be awesome. Hey, about that tech gala, who was at the event? The two headliners were Dr. Drake of Drake Robotics and Mr. Fossbender of Grind Your Gears. So, neither one has been questioned? Annie looks at him. Not that I'm aware of. Why? Thomas smiles. No reason. Annie continues to look at him as Thomas thinks back to his encounter. Mr. Fossbender sits in his office. Above him, the ceiling grate is slowly removed. Arachnid lowers himself into his office. Mr. Fossbender. Mr. Fossbender nearly jumps out of his skin. Who the hell? I've got a few questions about the tech gala this past weekend. Quite frankly, you aren't a cop. I don't have to answer any of your questions. Leave now before I call security. Arachnid webs both of his hands to his desk. Good luck with that. Now you can answer my questions? The sooner you do, the quicker I leave. Mr. Fossbender grits his teeth. Fine. What do you want to know? What happened at the tech gala? I was introducing my latest project, Gearbox, when someone ran onto stage and punched its head off. Millions of dollars. Gone in an instant. If anything, you should be trying to figure out who did this to me. I plan to. Are you looking into the matter yourself? No, there's no way we'll be able to figure out who did it. It's a shame. Thanks for the cooperation. Arachnid ascends back to the roof and Mr. Fossbender begins to struggle. Hey, how long until this stuff dissolves? It's a web, genius. It doesn't dissolve. You may want to get some scissors or a buzzsaw. They're pretty strong. Mr. Fossbender continues to struggle. Shortly after his visit to Grind Your Gears, Arachnid finds himself outside of Drake Robotics. He waits for Dr. Drake to step outside the building. Dr. Drake. Evening. Oh, my. Arachnid, isn't it? The one and only. I don't know what brought you to me, but I'm on my way to the hospital. I'll make it quick. Last Friday, Tech Gala. Your side of events? Oh, right. I barely saw what happened. One moment, everything was fine. Mr. Fossbender was talking, and a second later, his android's head was gone. What do you think happened? Something attacking that fast, with barely enough time for the human mind to process events? With the strength to punch the head off an android? What about something unaffected by a biotoxin? Sounds like another robot. However, that's just an educated guess based off of limited information. Another robot? Meaning you guys didn't build it? No. I try and stay away from building robots, when it can be helped anyway. That both helps and confounds things. I'm sorry I couldn't be of more assistance. However, I really must be going. Well, you were much more cooperative than Mr. Fossbender. Dr. Drake smiles. That doesn't surprise me. Take care, young man. Dr. Drake enters his vehicle as Arachnid swings away. Inside Detective Mercury's room, she walks around gingerly. There's a knock on the door. Much to her surprise, Arachnid enters her room. Hey there, Detective. Well, look who it is. Fancy get-up. Arachnid looks at the scrubs over his costume. Thanks. Maybe I'll start calling myself Scrubman or Arachnurse. Do I want to know how you got those? A nurse volunteered them. He wasn't using them at the moment. Detective Mercury smiles and laughs. What brings you here? Once I heard what happened, I had to come see my favorite cop. How long are you going to be down for? Nobody has a clear answer for me, which is frustrating as hell. I can imagine. If you're interested, I've got a bit of info for you. Might cheer you up. I have an idea of what could have done this to you. Do tell. Not confirmed, but early guess is another robot. Detective Mercury raises an eyebrow. A robot. Arachnid nods. Yeah, that's right. What the hell is happening in this city? Beats me. Well, thanks for the intel. I should probably get these back. You rest up. She nods as he exits. A moment later, another nurse enters the room. Nurse? Yes, ma'am? Can I see your security footage? I'll talk to the hospital staff. Several minutes later, the detective is overlooking the security feed. She scans the footage for Arachnid. She spots a young man enter the hospital and attempts to zoom in. However, he wags his finger at the camera, and the detective is unable to get a positive ID. And she smiles a bit. Thanks. I'll find my way back to my room. In Zoe's room, she and Annie are picking out outfits. That looks great. You think so? Yes, Carter will love it. Zoe smiles and begins to change. Do you think Carter likes me? Absolutely. He won't stop talking about you. When did you know Tommy liked you? I suspected it a few weeks before we started dating. We'd been friends for so long, it was a bit of a surprise. I'm glad he asked. You like dating him? It's a roller coaster, especially recently. He picked up a new hobby that keeps him busy. What about when you're alone? Do the two of you... Zoe makes a gesture with her hands and Annie laughs. No, not yet. I'd prefer to wait until marriage, and Tommy respects that. Plenty of making out, though. That's nice. I'd be lying if I wasn't tempted. Tommy was already handsome. Then he got in shape. What about Carter? Has he done it before? Not to my knowledge. I'm sure the two of you will discuss it. Be honest with him about the things you're comfortable with, and he'll be fine. Zoe's computer dings. I need to check that. All right, I'll be outside. Oh, do your parents know you're going to be out? Yes, they're informed of the situation. Zoe talks as she checks her laptop. Annie looks at her screen. Zoe quickly closes one tab, but not before Annie spots the browser. Galatech? What's that? Nothing. Zoe closes her laptop and smiles. Ready to go. Thomas, Annie, Carter, and Zoe meet up in Dino Park. The boys smile as their dates approach them. Everyone ready? Yep. The four begin the double date. At first, they stay together as a group, walking around, talking, and laughing. This has been fun, but I'd like some alone time with Carter. See you guys back here in a bit? Yeah, see you guys then. There they go. Come on, let's go have some more fun. Thomas and Annie continue to explore the park. Thomas and Annie crawl around the jungle gym, grab a pair of ice cream cones, lay down in the grass, and stargaze. Thomas takes her by the fountain. The two look into each other's eyes. Eventually, they share a brief kiss. Sometime later, the two sit on a bench together. So, how am I doing? So far, so good. Does this mean you don't want an explanation? No, I still want one, but I'm willing to not be angry anymore. Just don't let it happen again. No problem. Hey, my mom's making dinner tomorrow night. Would you like to come over? It's my weekend with the Wilsons. I'll be there. Good. I expect the same level of enthusiasm for Mass on Sunday. You got it. Carter and Zoe return, holding hands. Well, seems you two are having fun. Yep. How are things on your end? It's official. I've got a girlfriend. Zoe smiles. Congrats, dude. That's so sweet. Seems like we'll be doing this more often. Yeah, I could get used to this. Thomas puts his arm around his friend as the four of them continue exploring the park. Don't worry, Carter. I'll be able to help you navigate one of life's biggest mysteries. Teenage girls. The following evening, inside the Wilson house, the family sits around the dinner table. Thomas has joined them. After prayer, everyone begins to eat. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Thomas. From what my daughter tells us, you're a man of mystery. Mystery? Trust me, I'm way more boring than that. You play football, right? I used to, but I quit. Why? Football's fun. Yeah, but I don't want to end up with CTE in my early 30s. Anton played baseball in high school. That's how we met. Do you still practice?
Mostly, when I'm whipping the fire department's ass in our annual game.
Jacob and Sam laugh. Annie smiles at Thomas. Was everything alright at work today, dear? Did you catch that Arachnid guy yet?
Not yet. With Detective Mercury out, that operation is sidelined.
Thomas stops eating. Detective Mercury's trying to catch Arachnid?
Yes. She was gaining his trust in the hopes that he would let his guard down.
Oh. Even after everything he's done? Chief Wilson raises his eyebrow.
Everything he's done? Don't tell me you're a fan of his.
Not necessarily, but I heard he helped with the Skull Gang, as well as those newer guys.
You seem very familiar with this guy's work.
I hear the gossip, like everyone else. Thomas goes back to eating. Annie gives him a nervous look, and Chief Wilson narrows his eyes at Thomas. Outside, Thomas and Annie walk to the side of the house. Well, that was something. I'm sorry, Annie. That wasn't right of me. To come into your home and argue with your dad like that. Probably lost a few points in his "Is this guy good for my daughter" book. The two lean against the house and remain silent for a moment. Annie? Yeah? There's something I need to tell you about Arachnid. Oh? You gonna tell me you know who he is? Annie laughs to herself. Yeah. Annie looks at him and realizes he's being serious. You know who Arachnid is? Who? We can go inside and tell my dad. Thomas looks at her. He pulls up his shirt, revealing his costume. Of course I know him. He's me. Annie's eyes go wide. You're really... Thomas cuts off her stammering with a kiss. The kiss lasts until Thomas breaks it off. He smiles at her. Annie shakes her head in disbelief, but smiles back at him. So you didn't abandon me? No, I'd never do that to you. I don't think we can tell your dad about this. No, we can't. I have a million questions. I have a million answers. Tomorrow, after Mass, I'll tell you everything. Annie nods with excitement. Okay. The two teenagers embrace once more. The next morning, we see Arachnid swinging through the city. He hears a familiar set of explosions. He changes directions and follows the sound. He arrives at his destination, only to find Adam sitting on the roof.
Top of the morning. I was expecting someone else. I know. However, you've got me. You are? Call me Bron. Okay, Bron. What business do you have with me? Can you make it quick? I've got somewhere to be. If you're in a rush to die, then by all means. You threaten the interests of very powerful people in this city. That can't be allowed to continue. Yeah? Well, what are you going to do about it? Do I need to spell it out? A tense silence passes between them. Over at the Wilson residence, we see Annie in her room, getting ready. She brushes her brown hair as she looks at the last text Thomas sent her and smiles. Back in the city, Arachnid and Braun have already started fighting. Arachnid fights defensively, avoiding the man's blows, before he eventually began to land a few of his own. Using his webs in combo with his strikes, Arachnid keeps Braun on the defensive. Arachnid leaps onto a nearby wall and launches himself at Braun. With a clean punch, Braun rolls to the edge of the building. We done now? Braun begins to laugh as a metallic alloy covers his skin. No, we're just getting started. Outside St. Michael the Archangel Roman Catholic Church, we see Annie as she waits outside the doors. She looks at her phone anxiously as the texts she sent Thomas have gone on read. Once more back in the city, Arachnid dodges a punch from Metallic Fist, then another. He continues to rely on his agility to keep him from being hit. However, Braun catches on and steps on his foot. With a single punch, he sends Arachnid flying across the street, and Arachnid crashes into another wall. Braun
leaps across the street as Arachnid gets to his feet slowly. He begins to unleash a flurry of blows, finishing with a powerful uppercut. Arachnid lands on his back hard. Brawn attempts to land on top of him, but he's kicked away. Arachnid goes to swing, but he's tackled by Brawn, who's already recovered. The two roll across the ground. Brawn pins Arachnid and begins to repeatedly punch him. After the fifth blow, Arachnid barely hangs on to consciousness, and Brawn's metallic fists get more and more red on them. As Arachnid barely clings to consciousness, Brawn grabs him and holds him over the edge of the building.
Wait, you don't have to. No use begging now. It's too late. Your fate has been sealed. That's the truth of your existence, hero. You were always going to die.
Brawn kicks Arachnid down to the street below. Arachnid crashes into a passing delivery truck. The truck screeches to a halt as the driver checks what fell into his vehicle. He discovers a bloody Arachnid lying in his van, his suit torn in multiple places. Brawn begins to whistle as he drops to the street. The concrete cracks beneath him. As he disappears into the alley, his skin shifts back into normal as he continues to whistle. Back at the Frost residence, Zoe sits calmly in her room. Her parents appear once again.
Good afternoon, Zoe. How are you today?
Fine.
You've been a bit more distracted lately. Carter?
Yes, we're dating now.
Interesting. I didn't believe this was possible, yet here we are. This information will come in handy.
It will. Don't forget what you're here to do. I haven't.
Very well.
Good night, Zoe. As Zoe's parents say goodbye, her parents pixelate and dematerialize.
Hey guys, Big Green Dragon here. I hope you enjoyed what you just watched, and if you did, think about sticking around, subscribing, notification bell. Oh, I think that's the usual stuff YouTubers say. Anyways, seriously, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and hey, come along on this journey with me as we explore the dynamic Arachnid, and of course, many others to be following. I don't have a consistent upload schedule yet. I am just one dragon. But I promise that I will get the videos to you as best as I can in a timely manner. Until next time, take care. Dragon out.